Hello and welcome back to another episode of PG's Minecraft command tutorial. So, in the last video we talked about the teleport command and using that to manipulate an entity's position in the world, where exactly it is. Well, today we're going to talk about the position in the world itself, what block it is, and how to change what block a certain position in the world it is. We're going to talk about three commands specifically. We're going to talk about the clone command, the fill command, and the SetBlock command. And we're going to talk about how to use these commands to more efficiently manipulate the blocks in the world rather than just playing the game and mining and placing blocks. So with that, let's get started. So the first command we're going to talk about is the SetBlock command. So the SetBlock command is fairly simple. It changes one position, one block in the world, to be possibly another block. So let's look at the syntax here. So we start off set block, and then we choose, the first thing we do is choose our position. So that's going to be a set of coordinates. We can do, just like we did last time, you can use actual coordinates, 0, 56, 0 if you want to. You can use tilde notation, which I'll probably be using a lot today, or caret notation if you want. So this would change where I'm staring at, like five blocks in front of me, that sort of thing. So let's use tilde notation here to change the block directly under me, and the position. This is the position directly under my feet right here, because I am of course at the tilde notation. So then that will change the block directly under my feet, and then the next argument that we have is the block that we want to change it to. So let's say I want to change it to a, I don't know, let's try a diamond block. Let's get that, tap auto complete it, and look at that. I changed it to a diamond block right there. So whoops, I can I can change any block I want to, or as long as I know the position, to another block using this command. Some of the blocks that you're going to be wanting to set the world to have different block states. So what is a block state? Well, a block state is, of course, the state that the block is in. So let's take a look at a few of these that have block states. We'll start off with the anvil here. So you'll notice that when I place down this anvil, it looks the same as this anvil, except for this one's rotated. So, well, how does that work? Well, these two anvils are technically facing different directions. So that's a very common block state, is actually just facing. It's which direction it's facing, and that comes with a lot of these directional blocks like anvils, brewing stands, things like that. The bed is another one. Like if I place it down, well, this one is facing this way versus when I place it down, it's facing that way. That sort of thing. Now, some blocks have, we're looking at this bed here, it has also more specific block states as well. So for example, when you do set block, you're only setting one position in the world, one block, to another block. So then how does that work with something like a bed that's 2 blocks? Well, each of these is a block, but it has its own block state. This is the head, and this is the foot. So let's take a look at how you would set the block to be that. So we'll do set block, the block below me again. Hopefully I'm high enough up to where it'll just do it on the ground instead of replacing the ground. If not, it's fine. Craft red bed. And so if I just leave it undone, you see it just it does default to being this part of the bed, but we can change this to be bed. We'll do like this. We'll do part equals head, and bada bing. There you go. You got a full bed now. So if you want to do like a set block command to a bed, you do have to remember to do it twice and do each part of the bed. Now you can also do this facing another direction. So like if I had this facing, it defaults to facing north. So then if I faced it west, I could get a bed looking like that. East would be facing like this. Let's just show you that right here. So if I do facing here, let me get this block, and then we'll do facing equals east, and then, oops, well, okay, now I have this one floating because I was floating up a little bit too high, but you see it's facing this way because this is the way east is. So yeah, you can manipulate the different block states. A lot of blocks have very specific ones to the blocks. For example, like water does, tilled ground does, or tilled ground, because then also like when you have plants, the different growth stages of the plants. So I am going to link the wiki page because there's a lot. There's too much to talk about for each different block in this video, so I'm just going to link that for you to use as a resource rather than going through each specific block state for all of the different blocks one by one. The third part of the SetBlock command, the third argument, is a command-specific argument. There's 3 of them here, so let's do SetBlock, set the block beneath my feet, and we'll set it to diamond block again. I can't spell. Diamond block. And so you see it brings up 3 different options. Of course, you know, these are optional. You saw me do it without typing one of these in. But you can have these, and it tells you what to do with the block at the position already. So let's look at this first one, destroy. So if I type in destroy here, how does this act differently than how it was with nothing there? Well, you saw I got the sandstone block. So destroy actually destroys the block as if you're mining the block and drops the item. So you can change this block to whatever the block is, and it will change it and also drop the item it is. So I got the sandstone because it destroyed it and dropped the sandstone. The second one, we'll move over here, is keep. So keep, you see it failed because there is no there's nothing to replace here. But if I fly up, it changes it. So keep essentially keeps all blocks that are not air. So if I'm above an air block, if an air block is the block below me, then it will replace this. But if it's sandstone, then you see it fails because there's no block to change because it's not an air block. It will only change air blocks if you choose keep. And then the third one is replace. So you see this time it will replace the air block, and it will also do that. I mean, it will replace the sandstone block and replace the air block. It doesn't drop it though. It doesn't destroy the block. It just changes the block rather than destroying it and dropping the block or checking to see if it's an air block or not. If you don't type in one of these, then you saw, like, if I do this, then it does change it, and it changes it even if it's not an air block, and it does not drop the block, it does not destroy the block, which means that it actually defaults to replace. So if you type in one of these and you don't feel like having the final argument because you either have to just replace it, or one of these two, you don't have to do one of these two, so you just want to replace it, then you can just leave off this argument if you want, if you don't want to specify. So now we're going to talk about the fill command, which the fill command is sort of SetBlock's big brother. They work very similarly, and do have a very similar goal in mind. Where SetBlock just does one position in the world, the fill command replaces an entire area of the world. So let's take a look at that. The first 2 arguments are going to be positions which specify the area that you want to fill, right? So then we have the area from where we want to fill to the area where we want to fill. So let's do directly, whoops, that's the wrong one. We'll do directly beneath my feet as the area from where we want to fill, and then we'll set the other corner. Let's do, we'll do -10, and we'll do -10, we'll do 10 and 10, and let's cut that and check to see that I'm doing the right coordinates. So we're going west, which is negative, so I probably want to make the x1 negative, and then positive z is fine, so we'll leave that as positive, and then we will just change this one to negative so that we get like this area changed. This is kind of like the position, the first argument from the SetBlock command, except for it's in 2, because now instead of just specifying one position, we have to specify an entire area, which requires 2 positions, because you can tell it the corners, and it will replace the entire rectangular area with it. So then we have the third argument, which is going to be just like the SetBlock command. It's going to be, what do we want to replace it with? So for now, let's do Minecraft. Let's do glowstone for now. Glowstone. And so we can fill this area with glowstone. And you see it fills from beneath my feet, from where I was, to my position plus 10, or minus 10 in the x direction technically. So if you come back here, is it negative 9-ish, or block negative 10, and so it comes over here to block negative 20, and it fills all of these blocks. And then similarly, so I'm at block 1 in the z, and so if I come over here, I should be at 11, and look at that, I'm at 11, so it just, yeah, it just fills this entire area with glowstone. So then I made it 10 deep, so if I come down here, I believe it made it 9 deep. So we started at 56, so if I go all the way down to where the glowstone ends, I'm at 46. So there we go. This makes an entire thing, like an entire 10 by 10 by 10 block of glowstone. Just like the SetBlock command, the fill command also has some command-specific arguments. In fact, 3 of them are the same as the SetBlock command. So let's do the fill thing again. We'll do this from right underneath my feet to bam, bam, bam. We'll do negative 10, negative 10, 10. Here, and we'll do Minecraft. Let's do, let's change this back to sandstone. And you'll see it has destroy, hollow, keep, outline, and replace. We talked about what destroy, keep, and replace do. Those are the 3 same things that were in the SetBlock command. So if you destroy, it'll drop the blocks. If you keep, it will only change blocks that are not air blocks, and the replace will just change all blocks, including air blocks. So the only 2 new ones are hollow and outline. Now, before we talk about those, I do want to say that the replace function now does have an extra optional argument as well. So if we type in replace here, you see it brings up this another list of blocks. So if I just want to do Minecraft glowstone, so this is telling it what you want to replace. You can replace either just a specific block, so like if I just want to change the glowstone, then I can change just the glowstone here. It's a filter, so I can change just glowstone there. Or you see, it brings up this list with the pound signs or hashtags, whatever you want to call them, right here. And it brings up a list of, like, groupings of blocks. So, like, let's say I have, like, a bunch of trees and stuff, and I want to change all of the logs to stone. Well, if in this area I want to change all of the logs to be, like, a stone, well, then I can change this to stone, and then put this as logs, and it will change all the logs. So, like, if I have any oak logs, or any dark oak logs, or any birch logs all in the same area that I'm selecting, then it will replace all of them regardless of the kind. It helps keep things a little bit simpler. You can't always use these groupings. Like here, you can't do a grouping. You can't tell it what you want to change it to more than just one block. But sometimes if you want to replace multiple similar kinds of blocks, this grouping will be allowed. So yeah, as one of the filters, you can have anywhere you can filter, you can generally use these group blockings. Or if you don't want to, then you can just also use regular blocks. So if I do like, again, if I do Minecraft, that, it'll bring up just the list of blocks that you would want to. So, yeah, you can also replace now has an optional filter argument if you just want to replace one thing rather than, or a group of things rather than just indiscriminately replacing. Now, the two arguments that we haven't talked about yet are the hollow and outline arguments. So let's just select our hollow, and we can see exactly what it does. So we have here, it looks like it changed it all to sandstone except for it's hollow in there, right? So now we have this big area with a bunch of air blocks in the middle. So what hollow does is it takes your area and it selects all of the outer blocks, put that in kind of quotation marks, because it's just the further most outmost blocks that the command can target, and replaces only those to the block that you're selecting, and replaces all of the inner blocks with air. It forces all the inner blocks to be air. Where exactly is the corner? Leave it. Okay, it's right here. So then if I come down here and I place this all with replace again, just to get everything back to being sandstone. Let's see how that differs from the outline command, because the outline command works very similarly. So if we do bring up glowstone and we do outline, you would think maybe you'll get the same result, except for I'm using glowstone this time, so maybe it'll just replace it all with glowstone in the middle. But look, there's sandstone in the middle. Well, how does that work? Well, the outline command, instead of forcing the inner blocks to be air, it just keeps the inner blocks and only forces the outline to be different kinds of blocks. So you'll see, like, the outer blocks are all going to be glowstone. So, like, if I come over here, this entire thing, that's all the outer blocks, is going to be glowstone. Whereas here, all the, it doesn't force these inner blocks to be air like the hollow command does. The hollow command forces these to be air. Now, similar to the SetBlock command, this does replace, or it defaults to replace. So like if I type in Minecraft sandstone just to get everything back to how it was, and I don't put anything here, then it just changes it all back to all the ones that weren't sandstone, all the ones back to sandstone. So this should be back to normal now. So now that we've talked about how the fill command, let's try an example here. So I told you I made this pool using the fill command, using just commands, no breaking blocks and then like filling it in and stuff like that. Well, let's see how to do that. So the first thing that I did was I started off with the fill command, and I did from where I'm standing, we'll do -1 here, and then I did, let me make sure I get this right. So then this is facing, I want to do the opposite way, so that's actually in the positive X, and we'll do like a 10 by 10 area again. But this time it's in the negative Z, and then, but now we only want to go like 5 blocks deep. We don't need it to be a super deep pool. Make sure it's negative, so it's not coming up. And then we'll do the outline of the pool being glowstone. And if we want the pool to be 10 by 10, then we probably want this part to be 12 by 12. The actual outline to be 12 by 12. So then we want that to be glowstone, and then we don't want the insides to be glowstone, although we can have it if we want to. But let's just hollow it out for now. Hollow it out, and look at that. We have our hollow box of glowstone. If we break that, it's hollow. Whoops. So now we just need to replace this part, this top bit. And then replace the water. So then let's Without moving, let's do fill, and we're going to go where I'm standing, -1. And this time, because we don't want to change the actual block we're standing on, we're going to go 1 in the X and -1 in the Y. That should start it at this block right here. And then we do the same thing. And we do 4, because we don't want to replace that, and so then we'll replace. So that would be like, made it 11, and that'll be fine. So let's try 11 first. If that doesn't work, then we can fix it. It'll do Minecraft water. And so you see, I can, if I want to, fill it. If I just leave this as default, it will fill it with source blocks. So we're just gonna leave that default for now, and we will do replace. Not that I need to type that in, so in fact, let's not type it in. Let's just do Minecraft water and see what happens. And look at that. With our knowledge of positions and knowing how commands work, we made this pool very easily just by using commands. We didn't have to mine anything. We didn't have to do anything except for stand here and type in a few commands that replace the area we wanted to with a pool. So the final command I want to talk about is the clone command. The clone command can be useful if you need to sort of make something sort of repetitive. So just as a base here, I'm going to use my little anvil dropper that I made to show you that pig was invincible and I'm going to clone that into a few different ways in a few different places. So first thing we have to do is find out the area that this is in. So we're going to look at this and we're going to see that it's in 1055 2, and then we're going to come up to the other corner of it, which is going to be just to get it so it looks like this. So then we want to come here, and then just to get it, we're going to come just to make sure our rectangle encompasses the entire thing. So we're going to come here and we're going to say 581 6. Get our coordinates. Our coordinates ready, written out in chat. So then, once we have the coordinates that we know we want to clone, well, then we come over to where we actually want to clone it to. We'll start off right here, because I'm just going to use relative coordinates for where I want to clone it, but I know the area where it was from before. So we start off with our clone, and so the first 2 arguments are the area that you want to clone. So similar to the fill command, it's an area, so you start off in one corner, and then you select the other corner as coordinates, and you make a rectangle with those. So that's why I went up there and I figured out the actual rectangle that I wanted to clone. So I have 1055 2, and then it ends at 581 6. And now I have the third argument, which is also a position. This is the northwest bottom corner, I believe. Yeah, lower northwest corner of where I want to change it to. So then we'll start here, and we'll change it to just beneath my feet, so that it should change this block right here, where it's right beneath my feet. And we'll talk about these arguments in just a second. And look at that, it starts right beneath my feet, and it clones this entire thing. So it, all of the pattern's the same, all of the redstone stuff should do it. So if I grab an anvil real fast, and I put it up here, put it right there, fall back down here. If I click this, it works the same as that one, because that's how I built that one. So since it's completely cloned, that's how this one works. So clone has a few command-specific arguments similar to the fill and SetBlock commands. So let's take a look at them. You start off with the clone command, and you have filtered, masked, and replace. If I type in masked here, it then has force, move, and normal. Let's start off with the first one. So we have filtered, masked, and replace. This is the mask mode. So this tells it how you want to clone the blocks, like which blocks you actually want to clone. So if I choose filtered here, it will only clone either the blocks of these block types, or if you want a specific block. So then if I do Minecraft stone as the block, it will only clone the stone blocks that were in that. So if I do that, then you see, like, any of the stone blocks I used, it doesn't have this glowstone, it doesn't have the button or the redstone. It just has the stone block outline, because I only chose the stone blocks. The second one is masked, which masked, if I type in masked, only copies non-air blocks. So if I do this, then, oops, well, I did it a little bit close, but that's fine. Essentially, in that area, these air blocks aren't copied. So like if I actually start this a little bit lower, if I come down like here, you see it does actually like clone it, but it won't replace anything that's not like a, if there's an air block there, it doesn't clone it, it just clones the non-air block portion of it. So like if I dig down and look at that, it's the same thing except for buried now, because it didn't replace these with the air blocks that were there originally. It keeps these blocks because it's only cloning the non-air blocks. Now replace, and this is what it defaults to, just like the replace in the fill block and set command, or set block and fill command, excuse me, works the same way. So it's what it defaults to, and it would create a tower the exact same. It includes air blocks, so like if I came down and did a similar experiment, but with replace, see it does the entire area that I had selected, including air blocks. So it hollows out this with the air blocks that I have copied as well. Now the last three arguments, well, the last argument is the clone mode, which the clone mode tells it what to do with the blocks that you're cloning. So there's force, move, and normal. So force, the clone command will fail if you try to clone the blocks into the area that you originally have cloned. So let's come over to let's select like from this 1 to 3 by 3 by like 5 area here. So then if I get up this one and I have 2, 55, 10, and I have 0, 60, 12. So then this is the area I want to clone. So we'll do /clone 2, 55, 10 to 0, 60, 12, and then I try to clone it to where I'm standing, -1, and I'll do replace, and then I don't type in one of these. Well, it doesn't let me do it because the source and the destination areas cannot overlap. It doesn't want you cloning into the area where you grabbed the clone from, unless, let's say, like I moved here. You can see that it's not just because I started and then tried to put it in the same area. It's because the areas do overlap. Well, let's say I overlap it. If I do force, it does successfully clone it. Force sort of ignores the area that it's overlapping and just tries to place it how it would place it if you did the clone command. So you see it actually did make a second tower here, the way that the clone command works at the northwest, where you're at the northwest corner, where this position is the lower northwest corner. and it just forced it to be this, and it would clone and keep all of the air blocks the same because I did replace. So if I moved it a little bit over, it should replace this tower as well. So like if I did here, you see it keeps the air blocks and actually replaces the area that it clones it to and puts it here. Now the move works similarly, except for instead of forcing it to move where you want it to, it actually moves the block. So like, let's say I had this area of blocks that I wanted moved, and let's get these new chords out actually. So now we have 2, 55, 11, and we have over here we have 0, 60, 13. 13. So same blocks. Well, the move command will replace all of the blocks that you're cloning with air blocks now, and we'll put the new clone somewhere else. So like if I do /clone, I will do, what did I say, 2, 55, 11, 2, 0, 60, 13, and I set it right beneath my feet again. And then I'll do replace, and then I do move. It puts it here, and then you'll see it's as if it took it from here and moved it over here. That's what the move argument does. Now the final one is just normal. And so what the normal one does, well, you see it's the same area. And this area was still the one selected instead of these blocks. What normal does is it essentially just doesn't do either force or move. So it just normally takes this area of blocks, keeps it the exact same, and tries to change the blocks that you're from the position you specify to be the blocks that was normally there. Normal is what it defaults to. It assumes if you don't want to force or move, then you're going to essentially just clone it as normal. So now that we've talked about how to manipulate blocks in a more efficient way, a little bit of homework for you. I think try to use these commands to make a house somewhere, make some sort of building with it, and then try to copy that building using the clone command. Just try to make something simple and then move it around a little bit maybe. Yeah, I want to say again, thank you for all the feedback. I really do appreciate it, and on these last couple videos I read everything and then try to incorporate a lot of your suggestions, so I do appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.